Welcome to Insight Plug, the podcast where independent creators and entrepreneurs connect and inspire. I'm your host, Devon Jones. Today on our show, we have an actor and voice actor, Peter D. Vicson. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Glad to have you here, Peter. As I tell the actors, every time we get actors on here, we love actors, right? Because you guys help get the story out there. You guys are the face of the project, and you guys mean the world to not only just directors, but writers as well.
Mm.
Um, so Peter, let's jump into it.
Yeah.
Acting. When did you find that spark that
So
acting wanted to be a career you wanted to pursue?
so it was quite funny because through all my life it's never really hit me at all. Like never really been interested in it. I'm quite dyslexic. And it's always just been like I don't really want to do that. That's not really my thing. But it was when I was at secondary school. And I had some in secondary school. You've got your GCSEs and you have four to pick. Anyway, I picked music, catering, something else, and a geography, and I had one left, and I was like, I got no idea. So I was recommended by my family. Actually, was like, go for acting. It'll be great for your confidence and stuff. I was like, yeah, screw it, let's do it. So I went into that, and the first production the first performance we did was Blood Brothers, which is Willie Russell, I think. Yeah, Willie Russell. We'll say Willie Russell. Why not?
All right.
Um, and he, I didn't have a massive role in it, but the it was the first time where I actually had found something that I really loved doing. It was the cast that I was with. Again, we're all like teenagers at school and stuff, but like it was such a fun experience and it just really sparked and I just got such a deep passion from it and the love and I had never really put so much effort into something in my life until that performance. So growing up through school, um, every time it was like a drama lesson, it would be like, screw the other lessons. We're doing acting now. As in originally I wanted to be a chef because I had no idea what I wanted to do. And it was just like, oh, I'll just cook for a living. Why not? Make scrambled eggs, do what you want. But no, I discovered acting through my lovely teacher called Mrs. Arrowsmith. She was an absolute treat. She was old school teacher, but she was absolutely fantastic, as most of us are inspired by the old, let's say. And they managed to find really casted a fire inside of me. So through school, I started acting, had a lot of fun in it. And then I went off to college and did a stage and screen 2-year course in which I absolutely prospered. I found love for Shakespeare, radio play, voice acting, body acting, just a number of different things just through 2 years of college, which then inspired me to go to drama school. Well, I studied at a school called Fourth Monkey for 2 years. It was an accelerated course. So instead of 3 years, I did 2 years, but it was like Monday to Friday, 8 till 7. I can't remember. It was 2 years ago when I last went, but it was very intense. But so I finished drama school and just got myself into the industry. And so far, I've done it all on my own. I haven't had any agents or anything like that, and just been trying to sell myself as much as I can. And I think that's the most important thing for an actor is, you can't rely on others. You just have to sell yourself, just constantly sell yourself. And I think that's so important.
That is true. That is true. Awesome. I love that. I love that you just jump right into it.
Yeah,
And
sorry, sorry. I was like, what
yeah,
was the question
no,
again?
yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And so now how you said you love Shakespeare and you started getting these other roles. Now, as a new actor, like when you're going for roles, how do you connect with each character that you're playing? Like, is it something within a character that, okay, I like this within a character, so therefore I will audition for this role? Like, how do you go about choosing your roles?
So when it comes to like casting roles and stuff, I'm more so I will always bring something new to the character, regardless of whatever the character is. I will be if it's casting directors, producers, whatever. I will always come to them with ideas before. Obviously, if they're asking for an exact specific thing, then, obviously you've got to listen to the directors because they're the one who's going to be paying your check at the end of the day. Um, but a lot of the time, I will find new things. So I do a lot of theatre recently, and over the I do like 3 month tours of Shakespeare, and I find when the day one of rehearsal to the last day of the last show, my character will be nothing like I begun with because through those 3 months, I will be constantly trying new things, finding new chemistry with different characters, or finding discovering new things with actors on stage, and even not so much because it falls into a bit too much clowning, which I again very much into, is listening to the audience but trying to still stay alive on stage and not kind of perform to the audience and let the audience enjoy what is happening on stage, which is something that I still kind of temper around a bit, a little bit. But yeah, so kind of I will bring a bit of me to the character. I'm quite a bubbly, quite an impulsive guy. So when it comes to certain characters who might be more comedic, or are like a bit more weaselly or whatever, I will try and bring a bit of me, which I might define as weaselly or comedic, to the character. So then the character is not only just this character that's been written by William Shakespeare or other playwrights and stuff, it's also a bit of me, as long as director says that's all good.
Awesome. Love that. All right, Peter. Now let's jump into some of the projects that you've worked on. So let's start with this one, Dragon Lich King. How was the experience working on that project?
That was so about a year before I started that project, I was doing some student films in a local university to me. And I did this project called The Harvest, in which I was playing. I was casted. Well, originally I was cast as just one of the people who get murdered. But the lead who was playing the Harvest character, which was like this old style beekeeper who had like the basket net over his head, he unfortunately dropped out. And they were like, "Oh, we need to find a different person." And I said, "Well, is my character who I'm currently playing ever in the same scene as this character?" And they're like,
Ooh,
no, no, there isn't. As in, we can use the power of camera to kind of make it look
nice.
like you're in the same scene.
Yep.
So I ended up playing this like this massive. I wore this massive beekeeper's hat, like the bold basket over my head with this white cloak and this massive scythe, which was so much fun because it was like you had to, and then I did a lot of body act. It was more body acting. I didn't speak. I was silent, so I was a silent killer roaming through cornfields, chasing after people with this massive scythe, which was so fun. But it's just like with that role, I kind of just discovered movement in it and just kind of really in love just embodying certain characters, embodying the character with, you don't have to be quick to be scary. Like he would just like slowly move his head and kind of just cock his head to the side and stuff, and like just slowly, like almost you can feel his presence within like 10 meters of the actors. Like some of the actors were scared. But anyway, going on to Dragon Lich King, from doing that project, someone who was I think they were DOP of the project, they fell in love with me, and they came up with the Dragon Lich King. And I remember getting a text on Instagram, and they were just like, "I've got this project, and I want you to be it." And I was like, "Look, I've worked with you. I think you're so professional. I'm in." So when did we start filming? It was last year at some point. Um, so the Dragon Lich King is a story about a 9-year-old boy whose mum has disappeared. He's having troubles with his parents, and his mum has left the house, and he's only left alone with his dad, and his dad's struggling to kind of work with him. Anyway, the boy's got a lot of pent up, what's the word I'm looking for? He's got a lot of aggression inside of him, and he doesn't know how to let it out and stuff. So he almost creates in this world. There is a show called Dragon Lich King, which is like about a knight who goes around and has to fight the Dragon Lich King. Now, this young boy in his imagination manifests him so that he comes to life.
Mm.
So, essentially, the Dragon Lich King is this basically massive dragon with like a dragon head, which massive. The stuff I was wearing underneath, I was wearing the American football um armor with a massive cloak over the top of me, with a load of chains all over me, and had massive horns on top of my head, had a massive dragon's head, and the dragon's head was taped to the bottom of my jaw. So essentially, what they wanted originally was for me to say the lines whilst moving the mouth, but because I was doing so much with my jaw, I literally couldn't get words out. So if I were trying to get words out, the words would be, "Are you going to the zoo?" or something like that, because I just couldn't, because the mouth wouldn't move because where you
Yeah.
needed to so much. So I had someone backstage reading the lines, and I was almost mimicking the words, which it was so much fun. And the young actor who played I can't remember the name of the character, but the young actor called Tobin. Tobin. He as in I ate kids, but he honestly I've never really worked with kids, but he was probably the best actor I've worked with at his age. He was, I think he's 11 now, and he's the Dragon Lich King's been awarded quite a few film projects. It's been awarded just a number of different like short film awards and stuff like that. And Tobin's won quite a few Best Actor, and
Nice.
honestly, he's a really good kid, and I really hope all the best for him, and I hope he can prosper far. And Lewis, who directed The Dragon Lich King, is a filmmaker who, he's just absolutely fantastic. He knows exactly what he wants. He's a good director, but he's also great behind the camera. And he'll be like, right, I need a shot, and he'll stand there for a minute, just thinking to himself, and he'll go, right, okay, put the camera over there. Pete, I need you to go over there. And yeah, it's fantastic. It really, honestly, I can't, and everyone on the cast and crew on the set were fantastic. And I said fantastic quite a lot now, but I truly mean that they were very, very good. But with the Dragon Lich King himself, it's trying to create reality from fiction. So obviously we don't have hybrid dragon people walking around, or if they are, I have not seen them yet. I welcome them. I welcome them. But so then you're having to try and create this almost celestial being who is scaly and creepy, but also has a lot of power where like you could snap his fingers and the whole world would burn type situation. And but then also it's you've got so this character who is this very demonic evil, like he will tie you up with chains and leave you there for years on end. But then it's this character's been created by a 9-year-old's brain. So you then have to then keep all this villainy and all this sinister action in your body, but then also remember that a 9-year-old's made you. So you have to do things like there's a cute little scene which I love filming, where it's just like a bit of a montage, and he's there showing me his comics, and as this like big, massive dragon character. I'm then there trying to look interested in these comics he's reading, but it's like it's almost taken something so surreal, but then adding the naturalism to it, and that's what I love about body acting is trying to get something that doesn't exist and make it almost weirdly real. Where
Mhm.
people are like, oh, I don't. There's a fun scene where, as in, we got a lovely bit of BTS where we're on a swing, and me and Tobin were on the swing, and we're both like going left and right with each other as we're swinging up and down. It's such a beautiful moment. But yeah, honestly, I I absolutely love The Dragon Lich King. It's probably been one of my favorite films I've done so far. And Lewis, who is currently just sorting some things out, he needs to keep on writing. Go check him out. I can't remember his last name, so it's not useful. But Lewis, he's great. He's just great. But yeah,
Awesome.
that's The Dragon Lich King.
That's awesome. I love that. Sounds great. Yes, definitely. Speaking of that, where is it available that people can check out?
Um, so I am currently looking around, and it's not officially out yet because it's currently still making tours around film festivals and stuff, but I'm sure it will be eventually out on YouTube, hopefully. Again, check it out when it comes out. I will, as soon as it comes out officially, I will be sharing it everywhere. So please check it out anywhere you can. It'd be fantastic.
Awesome. And once we
Uh,
hear about that, we'll let you guys know to check it out. And speaking
Lewis
of
Hill is his name, by the way, Lewis Hill.
Lewis Hill, all right, check out Lewis Hill. And also, congratulations to Tobin on that win.
Mm.
Peter, do you have a page where people can check out some of your projects, some of your, acting reel
Um,
headshots?
yeah, so I got my Instagram. I try and post as much as I can on there. I'm a bit rubbish at social media, so which is bad for someone who is literally showing themselves constantly. My Instagram is peter.d.vicson. And on there is my Mandy account, which has all my projects and one or two show reels on it. So if you'd like to check that out, please do.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so now let's jump into this next project, You Too, a radio play. How was the experience
Yes.
on that one? I believe you said you did that one in school while you
Yeah,
were.
I did this one. So sorry, it wasn't that one. It was the distance we traveled. That was the one I was referring to. It was also a radio play,
All right.
which I did at college. Now this was my second project at college. So again, still very young, still very immature. And this is the project that really not only opened my mind up to kind of work as an actor, but also it made me open up my eyes a lot to refugees and people who are in warring countries trying to flee. And it's about essentially the distance we traveled is about a young boy called Khalid, who is currently seeking asylum in the UK. And what we did with this project was we did it kind of so there was flashbacks. So it was all set in a school, and it was just people, from every day, like kids just being like, "Oh, I can't believe I have to donate £1. Like, where's all this money going to?" And then obviously Khalid's been there the whole time, and he's just hearing all these different things. And then we have a flashback, and it turns out that Khalid was a child soldier, and we had to create all of this soundscape. So we had to create explosions, gunshots, all of this. So we did full on Foley for the whole project. And I had the luxury of playing Khalid. Obviously, it's a radio podcast. Um, uh, and it was such an eye-opening project. As in, I'm kind of like a very comedic person. I love clowning. I love making people laugh. But at the same time, I think the work that we actors do is so important for just like everyday things like politics, war, um, you know, uh, climate change, so much different things. And I think as actors, it's so important for us to be in these different things because, you know, you're watching the news and you're hearing all this stuff going on in the world, and you just end up turning it off because you're just fed up of hearing all this negativity. But then you get an actor who really embodies the role and really understands what is going on in the world and then takes over this role, and people are watching it. As in, there's a what was it? The Adolescence. It was on Netflix, which is about a boy who has been absorbed by mass toxic masculinity, and he ends up killing a girl. And it's a three parts series, and it's really powerful. And I remember people coming out of it and it actually changing the world slightly, where people at schools and stuff, where they were looking into more like kind of this Andrew Tate stuff and all of this stuff, that kind of toxic masculinity stuff, where young boys were absorbing it and thinking, oh, I better start disrespecting women because this person here who's got a Ferrari and lives in a penthouse is doing it, and that must mean what I'm doing. But this series kind of highlighted that through the actors, and people absolutely loved the series, and that's essentially what we did with the distance we traveled, where um, we spoke about Syrian refugees. We researched, we interviewed many people who had come over from different warring countries and spoke to them, and they told us about their experiences and allowed us to take some of the material. And we did a live recording of it. I don't know where the recording is now. Otherwise, I would link it. But it was very interesting to hear everyone's stories and stuff. And I remember finishing that project, and just my complete mindset had changed about um, refugees and people in warring country. Not that I had anything against them to begin with, but my view it completely shaped me to the person who I am now, where I will very much be for refugees and very much supporting anyone who is in trouble in the world and stuff. And it's just made me become more, from that project, I believe I've become more human. And I have a lot of pride to say that I feel very human in the world now. And yeah, yeah,
Thanks for sharing that. That was pretty powerful statement and feedback. And yeah,
mm,
yeah, definitely. You hit a lot of points there, and like you've mentioned, even about yourself, you're a comedic actor, but for those more serious, social issues that are going on,
mm,
we do need actors to, play those roles, and we appreciate
yeah,
the actors who do, and actors who are able to be versatile.
yeah, completely, completely. And I
Uh,
think that's what I love about, sorry to jump in quick, but that's what I love about comedy too, is as soon as you get that one person laughing or that one person who's engaged, you've then got them. And, you can then start maybe throwing a little bit of political views and stuff like that because they're listening. Whether they agree with it or not, that's up to them. But it's not so much throwing your agenda onto them, but it's just letting people be aware, let them know just basic facts, which you can sure conjure up into a punchline or something like that. But keeping it safe, you don't want to offend anyone too much. But but
uh,
yeah,
Gotta hook them in. All right. So now, Peter, let's talk about this last one. The Tempest.
yes.
Um, share a bit about that.
So, I've always, since starting acting, I've always had a very keen interest in Shakespeare. So growing up, did a little bit of Macbeth. Then at college, I did the production of Romeo and Juliet and Twelfth Night. Twelfth Night's my favorite Shakespeare play. Absolutely love it. Uh, in Romeo and Juliet, I played Mercutio, and then in Twelfth Night, I played Sir Andrew Aguecheek, very comic character. Um, and yeah, so I've always grown to love Shakespeare. Then going to drama school, we did Titus Andronicus, probably one of Shakespeare's bloodiest plays, which was absolutely so much fun to do, spewing blood out and all that, like the standard murdering and chopping people's hands off and cutting their tongues, like just very, very, very mild things, nothing too crazy. Um, But so last year, I auditioned for a touring Shakespeare group called the Festival Players, in which they tour around the UK and Europe, basically doing outdoor theatre. So we all cram ourselves into the back of a van. We fill it up with all props, costumes, set, staging, and all that lot, and then we just travel around the country, staying in different forms of accommodation, and put on a Shakespeare show. So last year was we did The Tempest, which I played Sebastian, who is a lover, which is it was very interesting. That I'll get into that a little bit more. And Sebastian, who is one of the scheming princes, who is basically trying to kill the king so that he can become king. And the whole crew that I worked with, absolutely brilliant. I love them all. I think they're all fantastic people, and would work with all of them within a hand drop. They're all fantastic actors. Um, but yeah, Sebastian. Now, my typecasting, as in visually, I could look like a lover, but acting wise, love isn't really my thing. So unless it's really clowny, foolish love, um, playing the truth of love is just something that I haven't quite gained yet. And I've been told different tricks and stuff, but it's just not really my casting. But it was still really interesting to play a lover because I found a lot more truth in acting to try and actually convince this person. Oh yeah, not to mention, forgot to mention, it's an all-male cast. So we've got guys playing girls, like the typical, like old Shakespeare, like back in Shakespeare's time, it would have been an all-male cast. So we've kind of kept that tradition in that regard. So again, I was playing off of a guy dressed as a girl. So Miranda was played by this character, by this actor called Harry, a fantastic actor. And so we kind of had it was interesting because we'd always play every time, and every time I did the any scenes with Miranda, Harry, I'd always find something new. That was probably the most difficult role that I've had to play so far, just because I've never played a lover before, compared to Sebastian, who was a bit more villainous. But he's one of these villains who has a lot to say, but if you like poke him, he'll start crying. So I really played into the weaselness of him, where he was really like, quite crouched over, and a lot of my performance that I do, I always incorporate the body as much as I can. At Fourth Monkey and where I trained, it's a we trained a lot in body. We before we even start doing picking up a piece of text, we're trained for like 3 months of just conditioning the body and learning how to breathe correctly and how you move rather than how an actor should move. It's how you move. So you discover yourself on how to become an actor essentially, but your own actor. They don't shape you to be a certain actor, they shape you to be your own actor. And that's one thing I've taken away from Fourth Monkey, which is I am me. I am Peter de Vicson, the actor. Just like someone else who I work with is them, the actor. We're all individual actors. So like when it comes to doing Shakespeare, obviously language is hard for me. Being dyslexic, it's thouist and all this lot and all these lovely words that they have to say. It's very hard when you're a dyslexic, especially reading it, especially when they throw the big words in there and you're like, poo. Um, yeah, so a lot of my characters I kind of embody. So I've recently been doing As You Like It at the moment. I'm still currently doing it, and I'm playing 5 different characters this time, which is a lot less than 2, which was last year. Um, but each one of those characters are different people, and it's all in the body, slightly in the voice, but more in the body. You come on as a king, you're stood up righteous, you don't move your arms as much. You're in control. You're not going to do anything compared to this other character called William, who is a absolute hopeless fool where he's trying to fall in love with this woman, and the way I embodied this character was just so over the top. Like he's walking around going, "Hello, my name is William." It's really, really over the top, and he's got this massive hat on with a massive feather on, and he's got these like tassels from his arms, just shaking them around, and he's walking around like with his hands always in the air, and he's very, very theatrical. Then you come back to the king and the Duke rather, and the Duke's just he's just very strong presence. He will move when he chooses to move. He will hardly move. He will stand his presence, and it's the thing is I love about Shakespeare is there's so many. Every character is so unique, and I think it's an honor for anyone to be casted in a Shakespeare role, because first you get to play with the lovely language that there is, and when you get it right, it's something else. It's something else. You really feel it. Sometimes I do it and I'm thinking, oh, that wasn't it. But in other shows, I'll hit those notes and I'm just like, oh, it's just like music. But then also you get to then almost discuss with other actors and create these characters. So yes, let's say you're playing a lover, you need to fall in love with this other character, but how you fall in love. And that's what I love about Shakespeare's work is literally all there is text. There is no stage directions. There's hardly any stage directions. I think the most stage directions was pursued by bear, exited by bear. That's probably one of the famous ones. But a lot of it's just like Tybalt dies, Romeo dies. There's no like Romeo rolled over and grabbed his sword and shung it in the air and drank some. It's just Romeo dead. That's it. So it's that creativity of working with a cast and being like, right, well, how's Romeo going to die? He has to drink poison, but how's he going to do it? Is he going to do it where he's almost kissing Juliet, where she's got the poison on her mouth? Is he just downing that bottle? There's so many different ways to kind of portray Shakespeare. And I think this is for bear in mind, there's only like, I don't know how many Shakespeare plays there are, probably like 50 or something like that. And how every production I've seen is always something new, and to be able to be part of that journey, like doing The Tempest or As You Like It or Romeo and Juliet or whatever it is, you will always find something new. And I think that's probably my message to people is just like go out and find new things. Just try steal from other people, but then make it your own. And that's all I can really say for people is just be yourself as an actor. love yourself. It's hard. It's really hard. It's super hard, but you just got to love yourself and you get out there and you have fun. And that's why I do it. I do it because I enjoy what I do. And the pay's all right too, when I get the pay, it's all right. But just go out and love it. And that's all I can really say. It's just love yourself, love your job, and live.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, that is awesome. I love all of that. Like, yes, be yourself, try new things. Like that is what is needed. And Peter, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
We're running out of time, so we can't get to that last question. Um, but we will definitely have a part two because we're looking forward to having you back on to discuss more about the other projects that you worked on and what's
Please,
next
please
for
do.
you down the line.
Please.
Um, so yeah, everyone that's listening, we're gonna get Peter's information. We're gonna have it in the description. Follow him, check out his projects, stay connected. And Peter, any last words you want to say to the listeners?
Love yourself, everyone. Love yourself. It's a beautiful world. When you get past all the darkness, it's such a lovely world. And just have fun. Just have fun. Want to make someone laugh? Make them laugh. Want to make them cry? You're a bit of an arsehole if you do that.
Hey, there you go. Be yourself and love it. All right, everyone. That's been an episode of Inside Plug. Remember, check us out every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube, Spotify, Red Circle. We're on a whole bunch of podcast platforms. Just check us out. Find us. We're almost everywhere. All right, everyone. Remember, stay inspired and keep creating. Inside Plug, signing out.